By the early 1840s, Texas was so broke, it rented out its entire navy to a foreign country for $8,000 a month. Let that sink in. The Republic of Texas, a sovereign nation, was so financially destroyed that it had to lease its own warships to pay the bills. This wasn't a struggling city. This wasn't a broke county. This was an entire country on the verge of collapse. Texas has always done everything bigger, including its disasters. And here is the part nobody teaches you in school. The United States didn't want Texas. Britain did. France did. Mexico absolutely did not want America to have it. Texas didn't join America. Texas played the world's greatest powers against each other and won. This is the story of a desperate, broke, Lone Star Republic that pulled off the greatest geopolitical gamble in North American history. The story of how 9 years as an independent nation rewired the entire map of the modern world. And the story of a Senate vote that almost went the other way and nearly handed the entire American continent to Great Britain. One vote, 35-16 against. Let's go back to where it all started. 1821. Mexico wins its independence from Spain. They inherit a massive problem, a vast, wild frontier called Texas. Empty, dangerous, beautiful. Fewer than 3,500 non-native people live there. Mexico needs settlers. They need bodies on the land. So they make a decision that will haunt them forever. They invite Americans in. In hindsight, inviting Texans to move in is a bit like leaving your front door open and being surprised when someone rearranges your furniture. The Americans flood across the border. They bring their culture, their language, their religion, and critically, they bring chattel slavery. Mexico had abolished slavery in 1829. The American settlers ignored that law completely. By 1830, more Americans live in Texas than Mexicans. Mexico panics. They ban more immigration. They raise taxes. They try to enforce their laws. The settlers ignore every single one. Then comes Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna. Charismatic, ruthless, extremely confident for a man who would be captured napping. Santa Anna tears up Mexico's constitution. He centralizes all power. The Texians, that's what they call themselves, rebel. Santa Anna doesn't negotiate. He marches 6,000 men north to erase them. March 6, 1936. His army overwhelms the Alamo. The defenders were killed to the last man. Women, children, and enslaved people inside the Alamo were spared and sent to carry news of the massacre to Sam Houston. A shockwave of terror sweeps across Texas. Civilians grab whatever they can carry and run east. This chaotic, muddy exodus becomes known as the Runaway Scrape. Everything left behind is burned to the ground. General Sam Houston takes command of the panicking army, and then he does something that almost gets him killed by his own men. He retreats. His troops are furious. They're screaming for a fight. Houston refuses. He waits, and he waits, and he waits. He's waiting for Santa Anna to make a mistake. April 21st, 1936, San Jacinto River. Houston finds his moment. The Mexican army is resting. Some of them are literally asleep. Santa Anna, in fairness, had just conquered the Alamo. He probably thought he deserved a nap. Houston orders his men to creep through the tall grass, silently, slowly. At 4:30 p.m., the Texian cannons explode. Remember the Alamo. The Mexican lines collapse. Brutal, overwhelming, over in 18 minutes. Santa Anna himself is captured, running through a swamp, wearing a private's uniform. The man who ordered the deaths of the Alamo's defenders was caught hiding in a marsh in a borrowed disguise. Texas justice is poetry. To save his life, Santa Anna signs a treaty. Texas is free. But winning the battle wasn't the same as winning the war, because freedom came with a brutal bill, and Texas had no way to pay it. Texas is now a sovereign republic. They write a constitution. They elect a president. They print their own money. And the very first thing they do is ask America to take them in. America says no. This is the part that shocks everyone. The United States, the country that invented manifest destiny, refuses to annex Texas. Why? Because Texas is a slaveholding territory, and admitting Texas would RIP Congress apart over slavery. The North says no. The debate goes nowhere. Texas is on its own. To summarize, Texas wins a revolution, builds a country from scratch, politely asks to join America, and gets ghosted. And the problems pile up fast. The Texas Treasury is empty, completely empty. Their currency, the Texas Redback, is depreciating so fast people use it as wallpaper. Literally. Some do. It's cheaper than wallpaper. Then Mexico rips up Santa Anna's treaty. They say they never recognized it. Santa Anna signed under duress. The war isn't over. Texas is bankrupt, diplomatically isolated, and facing possible reinvasion. Texas needs a plan, a desperate one. 1839. Texas sends a secret agent into Mexico City. His name is James Treat. His mission is classified. His instructions are to bribe and negotiate with Mexican officials until they formally recognize Texas. He writes back to the Texas government in cipher. He spends 9 months working every back channel he can find. He fails completely. Mexico will not budge, not for any amount of money. Texas is not a country to them. It is a breakaway province, and they want it back. So Texas does something so audacious it barely made the history books. The Mexican state of Yucatan is rebelling against Santa Anna's government. Texas looks at this and thinks, we can use this. They rent out their navy. The entire Republic of Texas naval fleet, $8,000 a month. Texian warships begin blockading Mexican ports and terrorizing the coastline on behalf of a foreign rebellion. A bankrupt nation renting out its military to fund itself. Texas was basically an 1800s mercenary state. In Texas, this is called resourcefulness. Everywhere else, it is called deeply alarming. It buys them time. But it is not enough. Texas needs a real ally, a powerful one. Fortunately for Texas, someone was watching very closely, and they were very, very interested. Great Britain and France have been watching Texas struggle, and they see exactly what they want. Not Texas itself. The thing Texas represents, a wall. British strategists realize something important. If Texas stays independent permanently, it blocks the United States from reaching the Pacific Ocean. The United States can't expand west. California stays Mexican. Oregon is contested. America gets boxed in along the Mississippi. A British-backed independent Texas rewrites the entire map of North America forever. So both Britain and France officially recognize the Republic of Texas. They sign trade treaties, they offer loans, they send diplomats. They're essentially building Texas up to be their buffer state against American expansion. In another timeline, Texas becomes a British ally. They'd probably still claim their barbecue is better. Some things transcend international borders. Texian diplomats in Washington see this happening, and they play it brilliantly. They start leaking information. British interest in Texas is growing. France is involved. The Republic might not need America after all. Washington starts to panic. The Secretary of State warns that British influence in Texas will be fatal to the security of the United States. Fatal. That's the word they used. The American position reverses overnight. Suddenly, the United States desperately wants Texas. In April 1844, they sign an annexation treaty. The United States promises military protection, diplomatic recognition, a future. Texas finally has what it always wanted. And then the Senate votes, 35 against, 16 for. The treaty is dead. Northern senators revolt over slavery. Others fear war with Mexico. They kill the deal. And Texas is left completely exposed. No protection, no allies. Mexico is sharpening its weapons. Texas is now the most dangerous real estate on the continent. Britain and France see their opening. They move fast. They broker an impossible deal. Mexico, the country that swore it would never recognize Texas, agrees to sign a formal peace treaty. Full recognition of Texan independence. No more threats. No more invasion. Permanent peace, guaranteed by two of the world's greatest empires. There is just one condition. Texas must pledge forever never to join the United States. Two choices on the table. Option 1, take the European deal. Become a permanent nation. Keep your independence. End the war. Get peace. Option 2, hold out for America. Risk everything. Hope Washington changes its mind. Risk Mexico attacking before any deal is closed. Most countries would take the guaranteed peace deal. Texas, naturally, chose the option with more gunfire. When Washington realizes Texas holds a guaranteed independence deal backed by Britain and France, the political earthquake hits. They are about to lose the entire western half of the continent, permanently. Congress scrambles. A formal treaty requires 2/3 of the Senate. They cannot get that. So they use a constitutional workaround, a joint resolution. Simple majority, both chambers, done. The resolution passes. Texas is offered annexation, but Texas still has to say yes. Independence Day, 1845. The delegates of the Republic of Texas sit in Austin. Before them, two documents, two futures. They vote. They choose America unanimously. The consequences arrive immediately. U.S. troops march in. Mexico follows through on every threat. The Mexican-American War explodes. It is a catastrophic defeat for Mexico. They lose nearly 55% of their entire national territory. The United States seizes California, New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Utah, Colorado. America reaches the Pacific. The modern map of the United States is complete, all because a broke, desperate little republic refused to die. Here is what you now know that almost no one does. Texas is the only state that joined by joint resolution of Congress rather than through territorial status, a constitutional workaround that had never been used before. It is the only state that negotiated the legal right to split into 5 separate states, a right it still technically holds today and has never used. Its enormous size, its fierce independence, its we do things our own way attitude, none of that is an accident. Texas doesn't act like a state because it wasn't born as one. It was a country, and it chose to become something else. The map of the modern world was rewritten, not by a military conqueror, not by a wealthy empire, but by a broke, outnumbered, desperate Lone Star Republic that played Great Britain, France, Mexico, and the United States against each other simultaneously. And if you ask a Texan today, they'll tell you they knew it would work out the whole time. They're probably not wrong. Every state in this country has a story like this. Wars, deals, betrayals, and decisions that changed the map forever. California's story? Even wilder. Gold, foreign empires, and a rebellion that almost split the state in two before it ever joined the Union. That's next. Subscribe so you don't miss it.